You know that strange moment when you tell yourself you are changing, but your life still has the same doors open, the same phone lighting up at night, the same conversations pulling you back, the same habits waiting for you when you feel tired, lonely, or misunderstood. You try to explain the new version of yourself, but every explanation makes you feel smaller, because deep down you know the proof is not ready yet. This is where many people break, not in public, not in some dramatic collapse. They break in the quiet minutes, when nobody would know if they went back to the old comfort. But disappearing is not about becoming cold. It is about closing the entrances that keep making you weak. And before your life becomes peaceful, the first silence will feel like punishment, because it asks you to meet yourself without an audience. There is a tiredness that comes from speaking before you have become the person you keep describing. You know it, that small drop in your chest after you tell someone, "I'm changing." And even while the words are leaving your mouth, part of you knows your room still looks the same. Your nights still look the same. Your mornings still begin with the same defeat. You explain the new boundary. You explain the plan. You explain why this time is different. And for a moment, it feels like movement. Then you go home, sit with your phone in your hand, and feel the silence, judging you more honestly than anyone else ever could. That is the quiet damage no one talks about, not the failure itself, the leaking. Every time you announce a change without protecting it in private, something inside you loses a little respect for your own voice. Your words stop feeling like decisions and start feeling like small payments you make to feel better for an hour. You are not weak because you wanted to be understood. You are human. Sometimes you explain because you are tired of being seen as your old mistakes. Sometimes you talk because you want someone to witness the person you are trying to build before there is evidence. But the painful truth is, evidence has its own language. Your body speaks. Your schedule speaks. Your spending speaks. Your sleep, your room, your reactions, your unfinished promises, they all speak. And when they contradict your mouth long enough, people stop arguing with you. They just stop listening. That is when it hurts. Not because they are cruel, but because some part of you knows they are responding to a pattern you helped create. You said you were done with drama, but still answered the message. You said you needed discipline, but kept bargaining with the same tired excuses. You said you were saving yourself, but kept spending your energy where it never returned. This is not the moment to hate yourself. This is the moment to get quiet. Because the first sign that something real is beginning is not a louder explanation. It is the strange restraint of keeping your plans away from people who cannot help you build them. It is waking up and doing one small thing without turning it into a performance. Cleaning the corner of the room. Walking when nobody is watching. Eating with more respect. Ignoring the urge to send the paragraph. Letting your absence answer what your speeches never could. You do not disappear because you are broken. You disappear because your words need time to become expensive again. You step back so your actions can catch up to your mouth. And one day, when you speak less, people will feel more. Not because you convince them. Because you finally stop negotiating with yourself. You do not disappear because you hate the world. You disappear because something in you finally understands how easily the world can pull you back into the person you are trying to leave behind. There is a difference between hiding and protecting what is still fragile. Hiding is avoiding the life that is waiting for you. Protection is stepping away from the noise long enough to hear yourself again. You are not vanishing from your responsibilities. You are not punishing people with silence. You are not becoming cold so someone will notice your absence. You are closing the doors that keep opening straight into your weakness. You know those doors. The conversation that starts small and ends with you defending your entire existence. The group chat that leaves your mind restless for no reason. The late night scrolling that turns one tired hour into 3 empty ones. The person who knows exactly how to pull a reaction out of you, then watches you feel guilty for reacting. The room where you shrink yourself, laugh at things that hurt, and call it peace because you are too tired to explain the truth. That kind of exposure drains you quietly. It makes change harder because everyone still has access to your attention. Your emotions stay available. Your explanations stay available. Your old reactions stay close to the surface because the same hands keep touching the same wounds. And then you wonder why your discipline keeps breaking. But fragile change cannot survive constant interruption. A new life does not grow well in a room where every voice is allowed to walk in without knocking. So at some point, you stop leaving yourself open. Not with anger, not with drama, not with a message that explains why you are done being available. You simply begin removing the unnecessary openings. You answer less when the answer would only feed confusion. You check your phone less because you are tired of letting a screen decide your mood. You keep your plans private because they are not strong enough yet to be discussed by people who have never carried them. You stop visiting the places that make the old version of you feel welcome, and something clean begins to happen inside that silence. Your mind starts closing its open tabs. The arguments you were rehearsing lose their volume. The need to prove yourself starts looking childish, not because you are above anyone, but because you are finally tired of abandoning your center for every interruption. Disappearing, when done with discipline, is not escape. It is repair. It is the moment you stop confusing access with love, noise with connection, and reaction with honesty. You step back because your peace needs a locked room before it can become a way of life. And when you return, you will not need to announce that you changed. Your absence will have done the first honest work. The first silence will not feel peaceful. It will feel like you have been dropped into a room where every sound you used to depend on has been taken away. No reply, no reaction, no small proof that someone noticed, no familiar argument to keep your heart busy. You will reach for your phone without thinking, not because there is something important waiting there, but because the quiet makes you feel almost unreal. You may even start wondering if stepping back was a mistake, because the moment you stop explaining yourself, the world does not always come low. Oaking for you. That part can hurt more than you expected. You thought silence would feel strong, clean, calm. But in the beginning, it can feel like punishment. It can feel like being forgotten. You stop posting, and the attention fades. You stop reacting, and people move on to someone else's drama. You stop sending long messages, and nobody asks what happened to all the words you used to give away so easily. And then the old hunger comes back. The need to say, I am doing better. The need to show one small sign of progress so your change feels real to somebody besides you. This is where many people return to the noise, not because they are weak, but because their new identity is still too quiet to trust. The old version of you had habits, emotions, excuses, and familiar pain. It knew how to survive by being seen. The new version is still learning how to stand without applause. So of course the withdrawal feels strange. Of course your mind starts bargaining. Maybe one post, maybe one message. Maybe one explanation, just so they know you are not disappearing because you lost. But silence is not asking you to prove anything yet. It is asking you to notice what distraction was protecting you from. The insecurity, the impatience, the comparison, the heartbreak you kept covering with conversation, the fear that if nobody is watching, your effort will not count, the uncomfortable truth that some of your noise was not connection, it was reassurance. It was a way to keep asking the world, am I still worth something? And now, without the audience, you are forced to answer that question yourself. That is the hard beginning of real discipline. Not waking up already healed, not feeling calm every night. Sometimes it is sitting with the urge to be seen and choosing not to trade your peace for a quick reaction. Sometimes it is letting the phone stay silent while you cook, clean, train, save money, or simply breathe through the ache. You are not alone in that silence. You are male. Eating yourself without witnesses. And the part of you that survives that room will not need the world to keep reminding you that you exist. You cannot build a new life in a room that still protects the old one. At some point, you have to look around and be honest about what keeps finding you. Not just the people, not just the pain, the small openings, the phone beside your pillow, the snacks you buy when you already know what they do to you, the late nights that make tomorrow weak before it even begins, the cluttered corner you keep stepping over, as if your mind does not feel it every time you pass. You may think discipline is a feeling you are supposed to wake up with, some clean fire in the chest, some perfect mood that makes every hard choice feel natural. But most change is not that dramatic. It is quieter than that. It is moving the charger away from your bed. It is putting your shoes where your excuses usually stand. It is cooking something simple before hunger starts making decisions for you. It is closing the screen before your mind becomes someone else's property for the night. This is where your life begins to change without needing anyone to notice. Because the old self does not survive by strength. It survives by access. It knows the same doorway into your attention, the same hour when you get lonely, the same person who pulls you into proving yourself, the same excuse that says you deserve to ruin today because yesterday was already messy. It does not need to defeat you in a grand battle. It only needs the same open door you keep pretending is harmless. So you begin removing doors, not all at once, not perfectly. You start with one corner of the room, one earlier night, one meal that does not leave you ashamed, one walk that nobody claps for, one bill paid before the money disappears into comfort. You study when your emotions are flat. You train when your mind wants negotiation. You save a little when nobody knows you are trying to stop living from Pennsylvania. Nick. These small things may look ordinary from the outside, but inside you, they are construction. And slowly, your discipline stops depending on your mood. That is the shift. You no longer ask yourself whether you feel ready. You let the system answer for you. The alarm is set. The clothes are ready. The app is deleted. The room is clean enough to breathe in. The calendar has fewer lies on it. Your attention has fewer places to bleed. You are not trying to impress the world with intensity. You are designing a life where weakness has to work harder to reach you. And one day, the old self will come looking for the usual entrance. It will find quiet. It will find structure. It will find no one waiting to betray you from the inside. People may not understand your silence, and that will bother you more than you expect. You will step back quietly, trying to protect your mind, and someone will call it arrogance. Someone will think you are sad. Someone will decide you are bitter because you stopped explaining every change in your mood. Someone may even believe you failed because you are no longer showing progress where they can see it. And there will be a moment when your hand reaches for the phone, ready to correct the story before it grows without you. That is the old reflex. The part of you that believes you cannot keep going unless people approve the way you heal. The part that wants to send one careful message, post one quiet update, say one sentence that makes everyone understand you are not disappearing because you are weak. You are just tired. You are trying. You are rebuilding. You want them to know the silence is not hatred, not distance for attention, not some cold act. You want them to see the truth before they judge the absence. But sometimes, that need to be understood is the same doorway that kept pulling you back into performance. Because the moment you explain too early, you leave the work and return to managing faces. You start measuring your healing by who responds well to it. You begin checking whether your restraint looks mature, whether your quiet looks peaceful, whether your distance looks acceptable. And suddenly, the private season becomes another stage, another place where your nervous system waits for permission. Not every misunderstanding deserves your energy. Some opinions are just noise wearing the mask of concern. Some questions are not invitations to be known. They are hooks pulling you toward the old version of yourself that could not move unless everyone agreed with the movement. You cannot control how they describe your silence. You can control what you do with the hour they spend talking about it. You can control whether you sleep on time, whether you train when the mind feels heavy, whether you answer with calm, whether you return to your schedule after a difficult day, whether you keep your promise when nobody is giving you credit for it. That is where your power is. Not in correcting every rumor, not in proving eerie intention, not in holding a courtroom inside your chest for people who only saw one piece of your pain. Let them misread the quiet if they need to. You are learning to read yourself. You are learning which emotions are real and which ones are only old habits asking for attention. You are learning that peace sometimes looks suspicious to people who only knew you in survival. Keep going without the announcement. One day, you will realize you did not need them to understand your silence. You needed the silence to finally understand you. The hardest battles in your life will not look like battles to anyone else. They will look like you sitting alone with your phone in your hand, knowing exactly who you want to message, and choosing not to open the wound again. They will look like coming home tired, feeling that familiar emptiness rise in your chest, and still refusing to feed it with scrolling, drama, or someone who only makes you feel wanted for a moment and smaller afterward. Nobody claps for that. Nobody sees the way your thumb hovers over the screen. Nobody knows how close you came to betraying yourself in an ordinary minute. That is why discipline feels unfair at first. The world notices the body after months of training, but it does not see the first night you stayed home and kept the promise. People notice the calm in your voice later, but they never hear the argument you swallowed because peace mattered more than being right. They notice your presence becoming different, but they do not see you fighting the old craving to explain, react, return, or disappear into comfort when the room gets quiet. And this is where you have to be honest. You do not lose yourself only in big mistakes. Sometimes you lose yourself in tiny negotiations. 5 more minutes, one last reply. Tomorrow I will start. I deserve this because today was hard. Maybe they have changed. Maybe it will not hurt this time. These little bargains sound harmless, but they are how the old version of you keeps a key. Discipline begins when your cravings stop getting a meeting. Not because you become emotionless, not because desire disappears, but because you stop treating every urge like it deserves a vote. You feel lonely and still do not text the person who taught you to beg for softness. You feel bored and still do not hand your mind to the endless screen. You feel tired and still clean the small mess. Prepare the next morning, drink the water, put the shoes by the door. It is not glamorous. It is almost invisible, but something inside you is listening. Every kept promise becomes evidence. Your nervous system starts learning that you are no longer someone who abandons yourself the moment discomfort appears. It starts trusting your own hand again. Your body relaxes around your decisions. Your mind stops expecting betrayal from the person in the mirror. That is when discipline gets loud. Not through intensity, through repetition, through the quiet weight of choices no one saw you or make. One day, you will walk into a room and people will feel something different before you say a word. They may not know what changed, but you will. You stop negotiating with the part of you that kept selling your future for relief. There comes a point where you stop needing to tell people you have changed because your life starts refusing to lie for you. It happens quietly. You do not wake up surrounded by applause. You just notice your voice is slower. Your shoulders are not carrying every opinion like a weight anymore. You answer differently. You pause before reacting. You leave the phone face down because not every vibration deserves your nervous system. And somewhere inside, you feel it. The person who used to beg to be understood is no longer running the whole room. At first, people may not know what to call it. They only sense that access has changed. The old chaos cannot reach you as easily. The same jokes do not pull the same confession out of you. The same pressure do. Ease not make you explain your boundaries until they sound like apologies. You are still kind, but not as available. Still human, but not as easily moved by every storm around you. That is when consistency begins to speak. Not loudly, not dramatically. It speaks through the way you keep your promise after a bad day. Through the way you train without turning it into a declaration. Through the money you stop wasting because you are tired of living at the edge of panic. Through the nights you sleep instead of reopening conversations that only teach your pain to stay awake. You begin to understand that the strongest proof is not a speech. It is not a post with hidden meaning. It is not finally confronting everyone who doubted you and explaining the depth of your discipline. That still belongs to the old hunger, the need to be seen at the exact moment you are becoming. Real change does not bend toward the audience anymore. It bends toward order, toward restraint, toward the quiet calendar you keep returning to, toward the small spaces you clean, the meals you choose, the reactions you no longer give away for free. Your life starts developing a new weight. People may feel calmer around you or less powerful over you. Some may pull away because the version of you they knew needed noise to stay connected. But you do not chase the old arrangement. You do not shrink just to make your growth familiar or easy to explain. And the deepest shift is not that others finally believe you. It is that you do. You become believable to yourself in the private places where no one can validate you. When you say you are done, your body trusts it. When you say tomorrow matters, your night respects it. When temptation appears, it no longer finds the same open door. That is the moment explanation starts feeling unnecessary. Because your life has become the sentence your mouth no longer has to repeat. You do not return with noise. You return so calmly that even the people who remember your old story M's have to look twice. There is no grand entrance, no announcement, no speech about what you survived. You do not walk back into life trying to make people regret the days they underestimated you. That would still mean they are holding the center of the room. That would still mean your healing needs their face to react before it feels complete. You come back differently, not colder, not harder in that empty way people pretend is strength. You come back with cleaner standards. You know what costs you peace now. You know which conversations open the door to the old confusion. You know which places make you shrink, which messages pull you into explaining, which familiar voices can make you abandon yourself if you are not careful. So you do not hate them. You just stop handing them the key. At first, people may test the old version. They may speak to the person who used to over-explain, over-give, stay too long, answer too quickly, carry guilt that was never yours. They may expect the same number, nervous smile, the same easy access, the same willingness to bend just to keep the room comfortable. But you are not there anymore. You do not need to prove it. Your body already knows. Your habits know. Your sleep knows. The money you protect, the time you guard, the silence you no longer fear, they all know. The change is not sitting on your tongue waiting to be defended. It is in the way you leave when peace starts being negotiated. It is in the way you pause before reacting. It is in the way you no longer confuse attention with care. This is the part that feels strange. You spent so long wanting to be understood that peace can feel almost too quiet when it finally arrives. No one may apologize. No one may say they see the work. Some people may only notice that you are harder to reach emotionally, less available for chaos, less willing to play the role they gave you, Let that be enough. The strongest return is not making anyone feel your absence. It is no longer organizing your life around their reaction. It is walking back into ordinary days with a private steadiness that does not ask to be witnessed. You wake up, you work, you train, you choose carefully. You protect the room inside you because you know how much it costs to rebuild. You did not disappear to become mysterious. You did not disappear to be missed. You disappeared because the old life was too loud to hear the truth. And now you return without announcing yourself, because you have become someone your silence no longer has to explain. If this video spoke to a part of you that has been rebuilding quietly, do not rush to explain that feeling to anyone. Let it stay with you. Let it become one clean decision tonight, one better choice tomorrow, one door you stop reopening. If you felt seen here, press like, not as a performance, but as a small mark that you are choosing a different kind of discipline. Subscribe if you want this channel to be a quiet place you return to when the world gets loud and you're old. Habits start calling again. And write one word in the comments: silence. Not to announce your pain, but to remind yourself that your next chapter does not need witnesses before it becomes real. Keep watching these videos when you need steadiness. Your life can become quieter, stronger, and harder to pull backward.